Hello, welcome to a March for the Ages. I'm Rickaya Woods from Park Crossing High School. Our guest is Miss Dorothy Pleasant. She is a math instructor at Trinum Tech and a retired pharmacist who was also a senior in high school during the Selma-to-Montgomery March. Let's say that.
Good morning.
Okay. First, I want to start off by clarifying how old were you during this time?
Well, I was 18 at the time of the march, and we were there for the night before.
Okay.
And the day of the march, we actually went into Carver High School and checked in, had devotions. I know you probably don't know about that, but we used to do that. And then went to the auditorium, and my boyfriend and I joined the march across the street at St. Jude.
Okay. Well, I was reading your bio earlier and I realized that you were a student at Carver. And I want to know, how was it going to Carver during this era?
Well, it was quite different from what you were experiencing, and I was really experiencing something that a lot of the general population of the school did not. Our principal, William Thompson, my year coming into Carver in 7th grade, he put us in advanced classes, and because of that, we were able, before we left Carver, to do 2 years of chemistry, physics, and we did the general math classes with the algebra, geometry, but we also did calculus. And one great experience I had at Carver was that we were allowed in 9th grade to take biology through the University of Alabama through closed circuit TV, and that was very unusual. But we had a great
Okay.
principal.
Well, what was your reaction to the march and the whole situation that happened during Bloody Sunday and everything that was going on?
Well, I had many emotions about it. My mother was originally from Lowndes County and had not been allowed to vote for years before she finally got that privilege. And she and my father always was telling us about how life really was. And my dad had been so active with the bus bar card, and I was there for those mass meetings on Monday nights, standing out in the street because there was no room for us inside of the churches. And so I already had within me a desire to see what I could do individually to change things. And so this gave me an opportunity to really step out. I was never violent, but we did a lot of things as students quietly, but it made an impact.
Did you get to meet any people that were involved, like the people that they were involved with the march and things like that?
Well, with Martin Luther King living in Montgomery for that length of time, I had gotten several opportunities to meet with him and with also Reverend Ralph Abernathy and other persons. Johnny Carr was very visible to me, and we attended the same church from 1990 until her passing. So I got a chance to see a lot of things with the Montgomery Improvement Association, and so that added to the knowledge that I was trying to get. There wasn't a lot of things in books, but we had from neighbor to neighbor, from family member to family member, telling us about our history
Okay.
and the struggle.
Okay. So how was it living in Montgomery during the 1960s?
It was hard for many. My mother was a nurse and she worked for a white doctor, and even though we had to go in the side door as blacks, and his name was Dr. Collins, and he delivered a lot of black babies in Montgomery. So I had the opportunity to see what my mother had to go through, even though she had the training. And it was such that it was hard to go downtown and go to that fountain that, said colored and white, because I was intelligent enough to look in the back and see that it was just separated out. It was the same water. So there were things that were bad. You get in line and you had your money in your hand for something, and if a white person came behind me, I was asked to step to the side. So you had to have something in you to see what was going on, but at the same time, my parents had told me not to openly do what maybe I would want it to, say, hey, I was here first, here's my money, as good as yours. So there were times when I wanted to be more vocal than I was, but I've had my chance since then.
Okay, as a teenager, how was it living in Montgomery? Like, what did you do for fun, and what did you do?
Well, we had black theaters, and because there were many places we could not go, our parents set up entertainment for us. And because my father was so active with the bus bar cart,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of whites still remembered that. So my
Yeah.
mother did not allow us to go out for Halloween, for example. So we created parties at home.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I felt very comfortable when my boyfriend and I would go out in the street and all. And we never had anything personally to happen to us as relates to any violence.
Okay. So recently we were just talking about like the movie Selma,
Hmm.
and I want to know like, do you think that recent documentaries and the movie are accurate?
I looked at it from the beginning that it was a movie, that it was not a reenactment of what had happened on Bloody Sunday and their actual struggles that they had to go through just to get to Montgomery.
Yeah.
And what my parents had agreed to do early was to open up our home, and we
Mhm.
literally had over 20 people in our home on the night before the march on the 24th. And we wanted to give up our beds. And my dad had a watershed in the back of our yard that was real large. Some of them slept out there because it was concrete, better than what they had had sleeping on the floor. But it was a time for the neighborhoods to get together, and that's what blacks did. Not only did my mother get food together for them, but our neighbors let them take baths at their homes, and they had gathered toiletries for them, so they were able to, just refresh themselves. So I think we were looking forward to them because we knew what they had come through to travel those 54 miles to Montgomery. And it's still kind of emotional with me when I think about what had happened along the way for them to reach this point. But my mother kept telling me, God is with this. It is going to happen. And it did.
Okay. Well, being that your mother was from Miles County,
Yes.
did any of your family participate in the march?
A lot of my cousins came from Lowndes County that were still living there and participated in the march itself on the 25th. And all along the way, at that time you didn't have a lot of telephones, and we were blessed with the telephone in our home, and so they would call and tell us along the way some things that were going on, along with the marchers. And I think what impressed a lot of us as teenagers, because we had not seen it before, was the number of whites that were a part of the march and their sincerity. We really felt like they had given up their time, their jobs. Some of them didn't know when they went back if they would even have jobs. And I would like to make the point that there were many persons in Montgomery that a lot of persons never knew helped with the march through their money and letting my father, for example, be off of his job. John Ellis did that. And so there are a lot of things that I have to say, and I still believe this, that when God is in you somewhere along the way, he is going to come out, and that's what happened with a lot of whites.
Okay. Do you feel that there will be a time where race really won't matter?
I know that it will be a time, but it's going to be such that it may not be in my lifetime. And that's all because of what I know has happened in the book of Revelation with God, that there's going to be a time. But there have been so many changes that I thought never would happen, because I didn't think I would live to see a black president in the White House. The first person I voted for when I became of age to vote was Lurleen Wallace. And so there have been just so many changes when I look at all of the blacks that are running for this mayoral race. I look at all the changes that are there, but there's still so much more that we need to change here in Montgomery.
Okay, well, being from Montgomery, what do you think is the biggest thing that really changed in Montgomery?
I'm hoping that it's our personal self-worth, because when you are told over and over and over again that you can't, then it's hard for persons, when they know they can, to actually do it. I want more of our black politicians to see some of our needs. We have elected them to see some of our needs here in the city. And also, I want people your age to never forget all of those that prepared the way for you to be at Park Crossing. Um, when I was in high school, there were only two schools, black schools, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver. And we had to go and stand in front of a sign that said Carver High School to get our books. And one of my worst experiences was that I saw a book that was on Lee's shelf, had the money, they wouldn't let me do it. But the next day, the wife of the doctor that my mother worked for went and got that book for me. So there were a lot of things that I want to see you and young people bring out. You have a world of opportunities that we didn't have, so use them wisely.
Okay, well, with the 50th anniversary,
Mhm.
50th anniversary coming up, you are participating in the march, right?
Yes, not only am I participating, but Douglas Jones and I are over the march itself for Montgomery. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds, like the march for Montgomery. Yes, once it's in the city, we had to organize what we were going to do. And I'm class president for the class of Carver High School, 1965, so this is our 50th reunion, and we are planning great things. And one of the things I did as president 2 years ago, I set up a Selma-to-Montgomery March. And so I've already turned into the city 33 foot soldiers, that's what we call ourselves, foot soldiers, that are ready to help with all the activities that are going to be set up for young people. Please encourage young people to participate that week of the 23rd through the 27th. Is spring break. And so we are going to give of our time to help you understand more of what the struggle was for us.
Okay, so if someone asked you in high school how you felt, what would your response be? And if they asked you now, would your response change?
I know it has changed, maybe because of my age, uh, maybe because I was only going to school with all blacks, and I had the opportunity at the University of Florida to be the only black to march with my class when I got my pharmacy degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to change, and I know within myself that they're good in a lot of people. But one of the things that I'm concerned about mostly, young lady, is our black youth of today. You have to have within you that strong determination of who you can become. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I was a junior in high school, and Mildred Hardy, who at that time I had already taken a year of chemistry from her, and I was into my second year of chemistry with her, and then senior year of physics. She asked me, "What do you want to be when you leave here?" And I told her, a social worker. And I'll never forget what Mrs. Hardy said to me. "You are already a social worker because you love people and working with them. You are going to become a chemist." And I sat back because no one in my family had gone to a 4-year college. And she told me what I had in myself. And that's what I want to say to you. You told me you want to be a doctor. You're going to be a great one, because someone did that for me. Mildred Hardy told me. And I went away to college and actually got a degree in chemistry, and then went on and got a degree in pharmacy. So my hope is for the young people of Montgomery to see all the potential we have. I hear about all the guns and everything, but we are not that. We are much, much, much more than that. And I want the young people to know that we are behind you and the things that you want to achieve. I see great things in you, looking in your eyes.
Thank you, Miss Pleasant. Well, thank. Well, my name is Rickaya Liz, and thank you for watching.